Hey, Chicago, what do you say? It's the CHGO Cubs postgame show podcast presented by PointsBet. Use the promo code CHGO when you sign up to get 2 risk-free bets up to $2,000. Well, the weekend is off to a real crappy start. Happy Saturday morning to all the Cub fans out there. Cubs lose to the Dodgers 4-3 in extra innings. Cody Delmendo, Ryan Herrera, Luke Stuckmeyer. We told you we do the postgame show no matter what time. Cody's cracking a spotted cow. Man, this one's up there with the worst games of the year. This is a game where you should have beaten the Dodgers. Keegan Thompson deserved so much better, and they let him hang around long enough, just enough for a rare bullpen meltdown.
Yeah. Let me just start off with, I understand that I should not be this angry for a team that's like 16 under. Like, yeah. I get it. You don't have to tell me. You don't have to say it in the comments. Like, I know. But when your potential top 3 of the rotation type pitcher gives you that performance against that lineup, you want to win that day.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Keegan Thompson went out there and shoved it down the Dodgers' throats. And we're not talking about the Reds. We're not talking about the Pirates. We're talking about the best lineup in baseball, arguably. Maybe the Yankees are better than them, at least as far as a lineup. But, like, he went out there, and honestly, the 5 2/3 is where it starts. Like, he easily had 6. And I don't want to yell about Seiya dropping the baseball, but that's like, you knew it was going to loom large. You knew it was. And it's just so frustrating because, like, you get that kind of performance out of your starting pitcher and you lose a game like that. I know it wasn't all Seiya's fault. I mean, the Cubs still had the opportunity to win the game. So David Robertson definitely deserves a lot of blame there too. But it's just so frustrating. And then they made it even. It was like the Cubs stuck the stake in their own hearts even harder in the 10th inning when you get the ghost runner on second base and you hit 2 dribblers back to the pitcher. Like, I don't know how much easier MLB has to make it for a game to end faster for a team than to just like allow that and like, they make it so easy for you to score that first run, and you can't do it. There's some stat Ryan's probably going to say that he said off air. Like, I'm all over the place, fellas. I understand it's 12:25 a.m. on a Saturday morning, but, like, I'm just so mad. This was like, we talk about all the dumb losses. Remember that extra innings loss to the White Sox? I think there was one like a week or two ago that reminded me of that one. Like, those were just dumb losses that I was pissed off about. Like, this is like a tough loss. This is like, you should have won, and it would have been a huge win if they did win, and you lost because of your own doing. Like, you give credit to the Dodgers for, doing the things they did, but at the same time, they shouldn't have been in this position. They should not have, at least tonight.
Yeah, I mean, it was
like Ryan.
Yeah, it was like 11 of the last 12 automatic runners haven't scored, something like that. Like, no, it's brutal, and it's crazy because, like, you look at the offense, and they gave him 3 runs. The Nico home run, which I'm kind of mad about because I swear I picked Nico for who he got. I swear I picked Nico, and all of a sudden I look back at it.
Sure.
And say, anyway, but then that happens. Happ gets there. You go. Apparently, I picked Seiya. I don't remember the time to say. Anyway,
that's what you put in Slag, bro.
You made your choice, and Cody and I each get a point, and you have now dropped into 3rd place.
I don't know.
We haven't said that.
Points. Yeah, what?
How do I not get a point? My guy had what should have been the game-winning RBI,
but he also
he drove in the last 2 runs of the game. He put him in. He gave them the chance to win the game. It's not his fault Seiya can't catch the ball. It's not his fault Robertson can't throw a strike.
He had a 2 plan, though.
There's no way I'm not taking at least a point. I stayed up till 1 o'clock in the morning. I watched Cubs baseball, and my guy had 2 RBIs, and one of them was the game-winning RBI until the bullpen blew it and Seiya Suzuki. I'm taking a point.
You didn't just do it out of
It's
your
too
own
late
free
for me
will.
to be up, not to earn a point here. That's the way it's going to be. I don't have ice cream. I'm cranky. Dave LaCroix says in the chat, can it really be a rare bullpen meltdown when it happened twice in the last 5 games? Yes, Dave, because the bullpen has been one of the better parts of this team this year. And
Overall, yes.
I will admit, you should be a little bit, we can talk about it later, but you should be a little bit worried about David Robertson and his sudden inability to throw strikes and close out games, because trade value down big time.
Yeah. Anyway, so I forgot what I was saying, but
Okay.
shout out to the people. Shout out to the people in the chat. 42 people watching right now.
Yes.
It's almost
We even got
12:30.
a super chat.
Yeah, we got super chats on Lil Yumper.
Lil Yumper, yeah. He joins us on
thank-
Twitter Spaces sometimes. He's also in the chat a lot too.
It's,
So
it's
shout
too
out to him.
small.
Love it.
I'm here
He
for the
said-
Cody fire.
Love it.
I see it now.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Appreciate it,
12:30
Lil
in the
Yumper.
morning on a Friday, or technically Saturday morning. The Cubs just had a bad loss, and we got 42 people in here. Like, love that. Also, I didn't even realize it, and it's hard to blame the offense because they gave them the 3 runs, and they gave them, again, the Suzuki error. Like, that's a run. That's Keegan's out of the inning if Suzuki catches that. Robertson, that's 2 in the same week that just couldn't get it. Like, had no control in the 9th inning in a save opportunity, which that just hadn't been him the whole year, really. But I just realized, like, after that, so Happ got the double, and then got thrown out. Suzuki's comebacker he got thrown out. Which we should talk about that too, because Sutcliffe's commentary was awesome. That was cracking me up. But after that, the Cubs went 0 for 15 the rest of the game. Like, they did not put a single base runner on. The automatic runner obviously didn't get him home, but like that, you can't even count that. They were 0 for 15. They didn't have no hits, no walks, nothing. I'm like, I think because they were up 3-0, and we were like, it was so worried about the bullpen that you didn't realize, like, the offense just shut down. Again, you can't really blame. They gave them 3 runs, a 3-0 lead going into the 7th inning almost, or 6th inning, 3-1 lead going into the 7th. Like, the way the game was going, they should have won. It was a tough loss, just tough loss all around. I think. I mean, it's hard. The Dodgers pitching staff is so good, so again, it's hard to put any blame really on the offense. But like Cody said, it was one of those losses where it's like a bad taste in your mouth, because it was a very, very winnable game up until the 9th inning, very winnable game. 10th inning, even very winnable game, and nothing comes from it.
I mean, poor Keegan Thompson. You go 5 2/3, no earned runs, 8 strikeouts. He starts the game by striking out Mookie Betts looking the first 2 times he comes up. He made Justin Turner look silly on a slider and another strikeout. He has shown that, like, he now can throw 4 pitches, and any of the 4 pitches can make a really good batter in the majors look bad. I'm starting to get on Cody's Keegan Thompson for mayor. I always say, I warn, small sample size. It's only half a season, I know, but he made a really good hitting ball club, one of the best in baseball, and some of the best hitters in baseball look silly out there a couple times. Like
Justin Turner
looked terrible. Mookie Betts kind of looked back on the second strikeout, like, who is this guy? What's going on? And Turner kind of gave the same thing, like, what was that? So are there positives to come out of this game? Yeah. I mean, Keegan Thompson is 100%, I think, the real deal. I think he is a legit 1 or 2 potentially for the Cubs moving forward. I don't even know if he's going to be a 3. Maybe I'm just being optimistic tonight, but I really think he's got some special makeup, especially because we talked last season how he was, playing around between the bullpen and starting. We weren't sure, and maybe he should just be a bullpen guy.
Yeah.
He's taken this opportunity when I personally didn't want him to get it early on, because I was like, he's doing too well in the bullpen. Don't give him the starting role. He's taken it and he's shoved it down our throats like, stop, I'm good wherever you put me.
Mm-hmm.
And hats off to him. He's gone and done the work. He's worked on new pitches. The new pitches are working. That's what you want to see from a young pitcher. And, I think Sutcliffe was pretty impressed with him too. It's always fun to hear another a different pitcher. Jim DeShays does a great job too. It's just another former major leaguer who's impressed by him. And whenever you get former major league pitchers that are impressed by a young pitcher, it's always somebody to pay attention to.
Yeah, I was Luke. I think me and you both were kind of on the leave Keegan in the bullpen, multi-inning.
I was
Cody was
too.
more on
Yeah.
I think Cody was the first one of us to really say, okay, give him the starting, put him in the rotation,
Oh,
give him
yeah,
a
for
chance.
sure.
Yeah, Cody's the first one to jump always.
Yeah,
2 feet
but
in.
I think we're both in that spot now. Me and all three of us really are in that spot. Keegan, no matter if Smyly, Miley, Strowman, and everyone's healthy at the same time, Keegan needs to be in that rotation. He's been so good, and it's always one of those things where he has it, right? He just has it, and you can't put that, you can't look on Fangraphs and measure what that is. You can't go on Statcast and go. He just has it. He has something about him that you look at him, the confidence, the stuff, just the whole mixture of everything that he brings, and it makes you think this guy is going to be good. I don't know if he's not going to be. I won't say he's going to be an ace starter, all-star, a perennial all-star, Cy Young candidate, any of that kind of stuff. He's a long way to go before he's that. But he just has something that when you watch him, you're this guy's good. This kid can pitch. This kid has a ton of confidence in himself. This kid, he has it. He just has it. And that's you'll want pitchers that are like that. You'll want guys that can go out there and shove every night, even if the box score doesn't always look great. You look at them and you're like, dude, this guy's a good pitcher. He's not gonna be his best every night, but he's a good pitcher. Keegan was really, really good tonight. Honestly, he deserved that quality start. Say I had the air, and then he ended up not getting through 6. Keegan was good again tonight. That Baltimore and New York are starting to look even more just I don't even know what the word is, abnormal. Those I don't even know what the word is, but the outliers. There you go. That Baltimore, that New York start looking way more like outliers, because really outside of those two, just every time he's pitched this year, he's looked really good. And that's, if you're looking at guys that are going to be on the next great Cubs team, Keegan's starting to prove he's part of that.
Quick question for you, based off a comment from Dave. He says Keegan's our ace. Obviously, he's not the ace based on experience, been there, big games, all of those things. You would have to go Hendricks or Strowman there. But do you feel like he's the ace just based on the eye test, based on how your gut feels when a game is about to start and he's on the mound versus somebody else on the mound? Is he starting to become the guy you're most confident in the Cubs rotation? In that way, is he becoming their ace?
I mean, I said it I think I said it last week, Luke. I was like, Keegan Thompson's becoming must-see TV. He's becoming every 5th day when I learn that he's the one starting, it's I'm going to watch every game anyway, but I'm going to have a little bit more, there's a little bit more kick in my step or whatever you want to call it. There's a little bit more pep in my step. There you go. That day leading up into his start. He's been that good. He's been that dominant in certain points of the season. It's just, as far as an ace, I mean, I still think we need to see more, but man, has he really developed over this season compared to last year. I mean, remember last year he got called up in his major league debut. I think he pitched in the doubleheader against the Dodgers at Wrigley Field, and no one knew who he was, and he pitched well in that game, and then he was just used as out of the bullpen until after the trade deadline. And when they made him a starter after the trade deadline, he was not good. He did not perform in any of those starts after the trade deadline when he actually was a starter. So coming into this year, I really just didn't know what to expect. I was like, okay, well, last year he was good in the bullpen and he did not do well as a starter. So I expected him to be a bullpen weapon like we've talked about. And now that he's been able to develop pitches over the course of the season while also just maintaining what he already had, and I wouldn't say that he's going out there and dominating like a Jacob deGrom type guy. Only certain guys can do that. But he's going out there and he's simply just getting outs. It's very rare when he gets into tough situation and things blow up in a bad way. He doesn't let walks ruin his outing. He doesn't let bad luck ruin his outing. I mean, I know he only went 4 innings the other day, but in those 6 infield hits or whatever, but he still only gave up the 2 runs in that start against the Red Sox. Tonight, again, like only 2 hits. And that Freddie Freeman hit, that second hit he allowed was the gods giving one to the Dodgers, because that wasn't hit very hard, and it was, he took it the opposite field. You give credit to Freddie Freeman there, he's a great hitter, but like the Dodgers, not only did they have 8 strikeouts, but they weren't making any real good contact at all. They weren't getting any hits. So he's just really transformed himself into, like, again, what I've said about certain other players. There's no way that this should be a 3 or 4 year rebuild for the Cubs when you have just developed your own homegrown starting pitcher. And when I say developed, I should say developing. And you've already seen so many good things out of him already. We're not even at the All-Star break yet. So, yeah, if you want me to tell you some positives, it's like, yeah, Keegan Thompson is a guy you mark on your roster next year, and you're like, okay, this is a guy you want in the top 3 of your rotation. I don't know if he's your number 1. We got to see if he can do this for a full season. Then yeah, I'm going into next year thinking this is our ace. I want him and Marcus Strowman top 2 of the rotation with Justin Steele. If he pitches like the way he's been pitching since the beginning of June, the rest of the year, like I want those 3 at the top of my rotation. Or maybe you sign another, you sign a top end starter in free agency, and then you just add more depth to that rotation and go from there. But like, yeah, Keegan Thompson, to me, if he pitches like this the rest of the year, then yeah, I probably will talk myself into him being an ace.
Yeah, Cody,
go ahead.
I was gonna say, we talked about that on the Twitter space earlier. Like, we were just kind of saying, like, listing off some of the guys, and we're like, they have building blocks, man. Like, they don't have those franchise players. I don't know that they do yet, the Cubs, but they have really solid players who a lot of them are young. Like Steele's coming into his own. Keegan looks better and better every start. Nico's looked great this year. If they keep Happ around, I think Happ could be. I don't think this 3 months is a fluke. I think Happ could be coming into that, becoming that player that the Cubs want him to be, right? Or thought that he always would be. Like, they have good players, and that when you're the Cubs and you have the resources, you could go out and grab those franchise stars, right? You can go out and grab a Carlos Correa if he wants to come to Chicago, right? I guess, like you said, Cody, it doesn't have to be till 2025 that the Cubs are irrelevant or can't win a championship. Like, I mean, they're not going to. Again, we talked about it on the Twitter space. Like, they're probably not going to win a World Series next year. There's no reason they can't, compete for one of those wild card spots, if not the division. The division isn't the NL West. Like, the division can be winnable if they put the right pieces in there with some of these young guys and some of these guys that they have under control that are doing really well right now. Like, I don't, Strowman said it right before his rehab. He went on a rehab assignment that he thinks they're only a couple pieces away from the Cubs. And, like, the more and more a lot of these guys consistently perform, Nico hit the home run today. Keegan was good today. Justin Steele, when he pitches again, if he can keep kind of this train rolling, he's one of those too. Like, there's guys on here that, hey, maybe they are only a couple pieces away from competing. I'm not saying World Series. Like, there's still a long way to go for that. But to compete for even a wild card spot, like, I don't see why 2023 can't be that year with the way some of these guys are playing. Like, again, they still got, what is it, like 78 games left to go in this season. Like, there's still a while to go, but there's potential in a lot of these guys. And like, it was hard to say that a month ago when they were losing 10 in a row. But right now, some of these guys are looking a lot better.
Ryan, are you trying to say the Cubs could be competitive next year?
They were supposed to be competitive this year.
I don't want to put words in your mouth. I do like Dave's comment. He says Keegan is probably the Cubs' best pitcher. That doesn't make him an ace. Not every team has one. I totally agree with that. Like, I wouldn't use the term ace. I'm just saying my gut tells me he is the best pitcher, and maybe he will have that potential. Like, he's the one guy when I see his name come in the box score before a game or a lineup or stand on the mound before a game that I'm most excited about seeing pitch. So in that way, he's just taken huge steps, and he pitched an ace-like game against, basically one of the best teams in baseball with some of the best hitters in baseball, making them look silly. So that part of the game was impressive. Cody, were your bets as impressive as Keegan Thompson in this losing effort?
Guys, I came so close to hitting another parlay tonight. I came one leg short. I had Keegan Thompson over 3.5 Ks. I had Nico Hoerner 2 total bases or more. He hit the homer, so he had 4. And then I had Seiya to hit a homer. And Seiya didn't hit the homer. And just brutal. But I did put those bets out over on my Twitter account. So if anyone at least just took those singly, at least you won some money tonight. But sorry, this beer is it's doing its thing in my system right now. I made those bets on PointsBet. It's my favorite app. I'm gonna wake up in like 8 hours and roll over and try and do this all again tomorrow or this morning, whatever. It's also I love it because I can do that in the morning. I also love it because it's the best way to support CHGO. And when you download the PointsBet app and use code CHGO when you sign up, you'll get 2 risk-free bets up to $2,000. But that's not it. If you make a $50 or more first-time deposit, you receive a free CHGO membership, which unlocks all of our web content. You'll even get a free shirt of your choice from the CHGO locker. That's $2,000 in free bets, a free CHGO membership, and a free t-shirt from the CHGO locker, all for making more than a $50 first-time deposit at PointsBet. If you have any questions, you can email pointsbet@allchgo.com and it'll help you out. You're home for live in-play betting. Just got even better. See an edge in the game you're watching. Is your favorite team prime for a comeback? I don't know if we have any Dodgers fans in here, but I wouldn't have blamed you if you live bet the Dodgers after Seiya dropped that baseball tonight. Probably could have got him at plus money. Not getting Dodgers at plus money a lot this year. I'm just saying you could have. I'm surprised that I just didn't do it just to hedge with my own emotions. Anyway, don't just watch the game. Bet along with it live. More live betting, more live markets, and the faster live cash outs. Follow along with your bets the moment they hit and stay in the live action all game long. Download the PointsBet app right now and use promo code CHGO. So what are you waiting for? It's time to elevate your live betting game. Once the game starts, don't just bet. Live your bet life with PointsBet. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call 1-800-GAMBLER for crisis counseling and referral services.
Hey, you're wondering, how did I make it? How did I make it all the way to 12:44 a.m.? And here's the answer. I want to tell you about OWYN, a 100% plant-based protein shake that gives you nutrition that will work as hard as you do. All the products are free of artificial ingredients, allergen-friendly, no gluten, no dairy, easily digestible. I heard that Bears quarterback Justin Fields was following this plant-based diet. He loves OWYN. So OWYN and CHGO have partnered up to give you an awesome offer. You can get 20% off your first purchase at LiveOWYN or liveowyn.com. That's LiveOWYN.com with the code CHGO20. Join me and Justin Fields. Try OWYN, only what you need. Dave Courtney, by the way, asking on the chat, who are the Cubs going to sign as a free agent? Like, what names are out there? And did you hear the comment during the game by Sutcliffe? When he asked about
Xander
Bogaerts? And he's like,
Yeah.
what do you think? Trey Turner, Correa, or something? And he jumped in and just said, Xander Bogaerts.
Yeah.
And there was like complete silence out of Boog. Like, he didn't know how to react. And then I think Sutcliffe paused for like 2 seconds himself. He's like, can I say that on here? It was really uncomfortable. But, obviously those are some names that are going to come up. I think Turner will stay with the Dodgers, but I could be wrong.
Yeah. To answer that question, I think, Jed and Carter aren't going to play their hand, especially before they trade anyone.
Right.
So we won't know really what they're targeting. But if you just look at the positions and just look at the rumors that we've been hearing, you definitely think they're going to target one of those shortstops, whether those guys agree to move to a different position or take over shortstop and then they move Nico around somewhere. Regardless, I think one of those free agent shortstops, I think Bogaerts has to opt out and Correa both have to opt out. Like, those have to happen, which is expected. And then I think just from what we're hearing, you expect the Cubs to be after one of those guys.
Yeah.
Outside of that,
Nico, some great plays tonight again.
Great.
The defense. I mean, this was the Nico Hoerner game. If you wanted to put together a highlight reel, man, he had some great defensive plays. He hit the homer. Dude's becoming a vibe, man, if he isn't already in your eyes. I mean, I'm just saying he's it's genuinely, it's really like the Jordan meme. Like I took that personally with all of us on social media crying about how the Cubs didn't sign Correa, and then he went to shortstop and he's like statistically the best defensive shortstop, at least in the
Wait, say that
National
again?
League.
What did you say?
I can't say it. Statistically, there you go. Statistically, the best shortstop in baseball as far as defense. But I mean, on the other hand, though, it's like, well, you could have signed Correa and then had Nico up the middle too. So I get where people are coming from. But we've talked about it on plenty of shows. As far as a guy up the middle, I mean, Correa or Bogarts would be my choice. I'm with Luke. I think Turner probably goes back to the Dodgers. But I know Bogarts' power is kind of dipped this year, even though the numbers, like the slash line's still really good and everything. But he only has like 5 or 6 homers. So if you're looking for a power boost, Correa would be your guy. Also youth too. So
I also think you're looking at the starting pitching market and seeing what could be added
absolutely
there. Assuming Strowman doesn't get traded, I don't think I never really thought that was like I always leaned more towards he wasn't, and I think with him missing a lot of time recently, like that is even lower. So I think you kind of go into next year with Strowman, Justin Steele, Keegan Thompson as 3 of them, Hendricks. You hope. I think Killian probably too. But I do also think the Cubs would definitely take a good hard look at like some frontline starting pitching. Not off the top of my head, I don't know if there's like aces out there that are going to be free agents this year, but definitely like proven veteran, big league, like potentially all-star caliber starting pitchers. I think Jed and Carter kind of take a good hard look at what's out there. Because again, like it's even when we talked about like for this year, like if those 5 were healthy the entire year, that starting rotation probably would have been okay. If Wade Miley starts the year and doesn't get hurt, Drew Miley doesn't have his oblique strain, if Strowman's not in and out of the rotation, like that, probably okay, But they had no depth. They had no depth when they did get hurt. So I think I think the Cubs do look at starting pitchers and trying to build more depth than what they have still right now. Because when you're seeing guys like Adrian Sampson and Matt Schwarmer and guys that have shown some flashes but haven't proven themselves as starting rotation guys, but they're coming up and having to go multiple turns through the rotation because you don't have that much depth, like that's something that needs to be addressed.
Well, and you still have to see whatever you're going to get out of Alzolay this season when he finally does pitch. Like there's no need to rush and say, well, we need this many starting pitchers. Although I would say that a half a season of really, really good Alzolay still wouldn't be enough for me not to want to add to the rotation because of what you just said. They didn't have enough depth. So like having Carlos Rodon in the rotation or somebody like that added to Alzolay, Thompson, Steele, Swarmer, whoever some of those guys might be, is not a bad thing. Just let them duke it out, and you let them duke it out in spring training because you're going to need all of them anyway.
Yeah, just sign DeGrom. Hopefully he opts out. Sign DeGrom. I'm in. You signed DeGrom.
Yeah, Dave LaCroix says statistically, spotted cows are up 1-0 on Cody.
Statistically, they are. Yeah, statistically they are. Can we talk about? We were talking about Sutcliffe and his comments, but like, he was cracking me up. Like how they sometimes they'll like get David Ross on for like a half inning or whatever, and he like Sutcliffe like starts the interview off. He's like, "Hey Rossi, because we're playing the Dodgers, you want to tell us about that one NLCS in 2016?" Like he was saying it like no one had ever heard about the story before ever. Like it was like the most bizarre like 5 minutes of the night, because like I don't even know, like that. It's hard to explain, but like David Ross like explained it in the most bland way possible. Like he had explained it for the 1000th time. Like no one watching had ever heard of what happened in the 2016 National League Championship Series. But I was cracking up with that. And I was cracking up over when Ian Happ ran over Tyler Anderson, or
That's what I
or
was looking forward to talking about.
or Tyler Anderson
He wanted to
shoved
fight him.
Ian Happ.
Oh,
Yeah,
Saul would have ran down from the booth and joined
seriously.
that brawl if it happened.
He would have been the Cubs version of Hawk Harrelson there.
I
would have been
was
so
going to say
proud to
that's
have him.
100% what it was. It was a
Yeah.
younger version of Hawk Harrelson. Hang on, Boog. I'll be right back. I got to go check on Ian.
Yeah, right. But like I know some fans don't really
man.
don't like having like the full on homer, which I don't understand that because Harry Carey is like, like a legend, but like it's I know you never get like that type of broadcast from JD or Boog, and you never got that from Lynn and JD either, or even when Bob Brentley was in there. So like it's kind of nice every now and then to get Sutcliffe in there and let him get all hyped up over like that type of situation, or just when he gets to talking about the future with the Cubs. I mean, there was a moment they were talking about he was talking about all the young pitchers. He mentioned like DJ Hers and all these other guys in South Bend right now. And like he just, again, it just kind of hyped me up. It's like I get that they have to do like Boog wants to just kind of be neutral at the end of the day. Like he's going to be more excited when the Cubs score, but like you don't get that homer vibe out of him, and you never got that from Lynn or JD either. It's just kind of nice every few games to get like that vibe, just so you can be like, yes, yes. Like
He did still give you the honesty. He said flat out, and he was 100% right, that Martin wasn't going to have a good inning. Like he started the inning, he's like, I can be honest with you, I don't feel good about Chris Martin this inning. And then it was like, boom, home run, gone. Like maybe a minute later, he hit that home run. And he that's not second guessing, that's first guessing. So I will say that he does, while he will give you the homer feel for a call, which I don't mind, it's not the full homer, which does kind of bug me sometimes. It's like, I think Eddie O does a great job in hockey with the Blackhawks of it. Like, he's a Hawk through and through. He's like a Blackhawks player, fan for life, but he also is this national voice who will also be critical and has his way of pointing out that was a bad play, or just like Sut, those were some bad at bats. Those were bats given away. That bunt should have been laid down. Like you can mix those two things together, and that's kind of, there's no rhyme or reason. Everybody loves different announcers for different reasons. I like the combo of part homer, part analyst that knows exactly what he's talking about. I'm okay with that. I'm okay with a mixture of it.
Right.
Yeah,
well, with JD, I feel like you get that analyst, you also get the dad jokes. And then, with Boog, you get the analytics, like the advanced analytics, and the play-by-play. And then like before that, Lynn was just strictly play-by-play. It felt like more often than not. And him and JD would just go on these random tirades about the most random shit. You just never really got like the homer feel. You get great calls and great moments, but like, again, so it sounded like Sut was gonna go to freaking war for Ian Happ in that moment. Like he was gonna get up and go out there and go battle. You know what I mean? And like, I just find that so funny.
Yeah, but he was Sut was hilarious. Like, he was cracking me up today. I don't get to listen to a lot of games, especially not when Sut's on, because he does a lot more road games, but like I don't get to listen to a lot of Boog and JD or whoever else is on, especially when it's at home. No, Sut was cracking me up today. Just saw a tweet from Megan Montemurro over the Chicago Tribune. She said Keegan Thompson had a season-high 12 called strikes with his fastball versus the Dodgers. Quote, "It plays up in the zone. If I can locate it up in the zone at the top of the strike zone and get a lot of swing and miss, or balls in the air with weak contact, and trusting it in the strike zone." 12 called strikes with his fastball. His location was kind of on point today.
Yeah.
I don't know what the whiffs were. I know
I think he had 11.
Something like that, but he threw that slider the second most. He actually had a really balanced, like, a secondary part of the repertoire. That four seam was 51 of his 96 pitches. Then he threw a slider 13 times, the cutter 11 times, and the curveball 11 times. Like, he was definitely trying to command that fastball and establish that, which he did, I think. But then he had a really good mix of that, of all his other pitches, and that slider, that nasty one to Justin Turner to strike him out, like that's kind of like where you're like, okay, like
Yeah.
slider's looking good. The
Yeah.
slider that he's been developing is looking pretty good.
Right. One other thing from this game that we haven't touched, and if you want me to throw some criticism to Sutcliffe, was in this moment. Sutcliffe loved this moment. Like, he was so happy that it happened. Was when Patrick Wisdom bunted to move, I think it was Ian Happ to third.
Yeah.
In that inning. And I was pissed off because it's like it's your power hitter up there, and you got 0 out, I believe. They had 0 out at the time. If it wasn't 0 out, it was 1 out. They definitely had less than 2 outs. And so you had Ian Happ. Was it no outs? Okay. You had Ian Happ at second base after he knocked those 3 runs in. So the Cubs had the Dodgers on the ropes. Like, they were hitting the ball well that inning. Patrick Wisdom bunts to move Happ to third. I understand you're up 3-0, and you know the Dodgers pitcher is really good, but I didn't understand why you're bunting. You are the power threat. And then it leads to Seiya hitting that comebacker, and then Ian Happ gets caught up, as we talked about earlier, in between third and home. And I know Seiya gets to second base, but man, you'd rather have that runner at third. Again, the whole point is Patrick Wisdom should never be bunting. Never. Just never be. And Sutcliffe loved it. He was so happy that Patrick Wisdom bunted there. He called it a team thing. And I'm just yeah, in the 80s, brother, not in 2022. That's honestly, that's the part of the game that, outside of Seiya making that error, that's the game, or that's the part of the game that made me most mad, because the Cubs had the Dodgers, they could have added on another run or two there. No outs, a guy on second base. You got the middle of the order coming up, and Seiya's been hitting well. Patrick Wisdom, we were literally just talking about how great he's been last night, and he's bunting. I don't know if
I'm with you.
I don't know if Rossi had the bunt sign on, or if he just did it, if Wisdom just did it for himself. He had some good swings against Anderson too. I know the first at bat he had against Anderson, he hit a liner out to center. It ended up being caught, but he hit it hard out there. And again, the Cubs were getting hits off him that inning. That is what it is, and that comes back to the point of not getting more runs. Seiya's error is being highlighted a lot tonight because it is the difference basically in that game ending, or ending in extras or not. But if the Cubs just scored more runs with the opportunities they were given, then we're not even talking about it. We're probably just saying yeah, we hope we don't see that again, because that was a really bad error. That might have been the worst error of the year. Even Jonathan VR wasn't that bad. I don't know. It's just,
I liked the Morel bunt when he came up to beat the shift, to make them think about, you can't pull the shift on me. He bunted on a left-handed pitcher who wasn't going to be able to make the play. I was okay with that bunt. I know what you're saying about Wisdom, and the flip side would be what some people are saying in the chat is he also strikes out a lot. So at least he moved the guy over. I just think your team's not very good, and you're probably going to have to score a lot of runs to beat the Dodgers. You're not going to win too many 2-1 games, 3-2 games, and it proved out to be that way. You probably would have been better off with some guys, coming up with some big hits as opposed to playing small ball. It's a tough call. If they were in a pennant race, I'd have a bigger problem with it, I guess. If that's what it came down to. But I don't.
Again,
I know what you're saying. He was amped about it, and I wasn't as amped about it as he was.
Yeah, and again, I understand the Cubs are 16 under. It doesn't matter. But when you think about how the game is played in the year of our Lord 2022, if you're gonna do small ball, do it with guys that make sense, not with Patrick Wisdom, who leads your team in homers and has been giving you good at bats. Like, if he doesn't, like, I understand he's a strikeout like possibility, but like you'd still rather have that and still have the runner at second base than, any like hitting into a double play. I know that doesn't make sense in this scenario, but like that's like another, like you'd rather, if you had a guy on first base and a power hitter coming up, you don't want him to bunt. You'd rather him strike out than him hitting into a double play potentially. You know what I mean? Like that's kind of like the point I'm making, and for other scenarios. But like,
guys, I got Sean Anderson from the CHGO White Sox. Tell me to pull this up. This is the run expectancy in these certain situations, and you could see, run around first, nobody out. You got 8.31 outs, runs scored in those situations. And what happens when you bunt? Run around second. 1 out.
Oh, the run expectancy goes down.
0.644. So to your point, Cody, Patrick Wisdom probably shouldn't be bunting there.
I'm breaking out in fives. This is too much math for me to look at on one thing.
Yeah, there's a lot of math.
Flashbacks to like fourth grade through like junior year in high school. I'm breaking out in a rash right now. Please get the math off my screen. I went into television so I didn't have to do math. That's for Brendan Miller to take care of for us.
He would be really proud though that we actually used one of those on our show though.
He probably would.
Anyway, that's basically the last thing from that game that I wanted to bring up.
Yeah,
and I hope David Robertson figures it out, man. It was just a bad week. He blew that game against the Brewers earlier this week, but then he just helped them close out the last game against the Brewers too. So I'm not too worried, but I will say the Cubs might need to move him sooner rather than later if they want to really get the true value for him right now. So,
hey, you know what we're all going to need tomorrow? You know what you guys should do?
Get Strava.
Ready with, get the Strava. Get the Strava out. Ryan, just do it. It's helped thousands of people improve their overall wellness and quality of life. Strava delivers delicious, fresh roasted specialty coffee infused with organic broad spectrum CBD from hemp that doesn't make you high or hungry, but it offers real benefits that can help you. You'll feel alert and focused without the jitters, despite doing a show at 1:05 in the morning. Live your day more balanced with less anxiety, fewer aches and pains, plus including CBD in your daily routine can even help you enjoy more restful sleep so you wake up feeling your best. And the best part, it's all small batch, fresh and shipped straight to your door. CHGO listeners can save 25% off their entire purchase when you use the code CHGO25. That's 25% off your entire order at StravaCraftCoffee.com using the code CHGO25 at checkout. Discount coupon valid on non-subscription purchases only. One use per customer. And if you already love Strava, subscribe and save with the Strava Coffee Club. You're in control. Save on your favorite coffees and have them automatically delivered to your home or office on your preferred schedule. Cody, at what point do you put down the spotted cows and start your Strava?
There, Luke.
We lost him.
You lost me? I lost Cody.
You hear me now?
I got you.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
Did you guys lose me too, or did we lose Cody?
No, just Cody.
I accidentally pulled the cord on my microphone. I'm trying to adjust myself.
It's too early in the morning, see?
I had some Strava this morning and yesterday. I'm going to need to get more Strava soon, and I
maybe
can't wait.
Midday Strava. When you have a night like this, you got to do a midday Strava.
Yeah, you're right. We have a Keurig, and we have all kinds of different coffee. Like we don't ever run out.
Nice.
I got Strava, and I just added to our collection, so we're just busting through all the K cups.
Hey, let's do two things before we go today. First of all, hats off to Wilson Contreras, right?
Yep,
absolutely.
He will tie Gabby Hartnett being the third start of his All-Star career, right? So Gabby Hartnett, the only other Cubs catcher to do it 3 times, the starting catcher in the All-Star game. Hartnett, the Hall of Famer, 6 All-Star appearances, but 3 of them as a starter. So, it's almost 100% chance that it's his last one in a Cubs uniform unless he comes back.
He might not even be in a Cubs uniform when it happens.
Yeah, I mean, that is the trick. Does he actually tie Gabby Hartnett if he gets traded before the All-Star game? I don't think he's getting traded before the All-Star game.
I don't think so either. But
Man,
I'll
if
also
the
say, like, he's only the 10th player in Cubs history to make at least 3 starts in the All-Star game, if he, does make it there. Only 9 other guys that have ever played for the Cubs. That doesn't mean the names are Ernie Banks, Andre Dawson, Stan Hack, Gabby Hartnett, Billy Herman, Don Kessinger, Ryan Sandberg, Ron Santo, and Sammy Sosa. So
Yeah, pretty good.
that's a
Pretty
bunch
good
of Hall
company.
of Famers and a
Yeah.
guy that should be in the Hall of Fame and should have a statue outside Wrigley Field.
Good company to be in for Contreras. But like me and Cody talked about it on the Twitter space, like this. I mean, you saw it coming as soon as the voting opened a month ago. And it's like, if he wasn't, like, you look at the stats, and the stats have remained constant, like, almost the entire season. Like, he was hands down number one, like, a shoe-in to be a starter. Like, the fact that he was, I think the update from, like, Friday morning, I guess, technically now, from .com was, like, it was 67% Wilson, 33%, I think it was Duvall. And even that felt like, how is that not bigger? Like, the Braves fans are showing out. Because, I mean, Wilson, he leads in basically every relevant stat that everyone that matters. He has like a sizable lead. I think him and Will Smith actually are tied for like 13th in home runs or something like that, or not tied for third, tied for first with 13 home runs, something like that. But everything else, he wins, and he's hands down the best offensive catcher. Maybe not defensive, but it's the All-Star game. Like, no one cares about defense in the All-Star game. That defense isn't getting you a starting spot. It's who's going to provide the most offense, the most fun at the All-Star game, and that's Wilson. So, he earned it.
Yadier Molina would tell you otherwise with the 10 that he has that he didn't deserve, probably. But
Right.
fan voting though,
Yeah,
right?
We talk about the fan vote.
Yeah,
but
don't get me started about fan voting, brother.
He deserved it, and I mean, there was no other option. Like he was the number one. He was going to be starting catcher as soon as that voting opened. I don't think anyone thought any different, because the numbers jumped off the page. Best offensive season of his career so far. Just the leadership stuff on top of that. I mean, he's become the face of the Cubs. Like, that's all that mixed in. He's a starting catcher. It was a done deal as soon as voting opened up. Really.
We just said, please don't mic him up during the game and ask him about getting ready to be traded.
Man, if they do that
Please
back-to-back
save us from
years,
that.
Jesus, yeah.
Hey, the rest of the series, it looks like it's Strowman and Smyly, both back from the injured list. What do you expect to see out of those two guys? I mean, it's been a long time. Smyly hasn't pitched since the end of May, and
May 30th.
Yeah, and Strowman is early June when he got just destroyed by the Cardinals, where he gave up, I think, 9 runs and 4 innings, 3 homers, something like that.
Yeah, I mean, for Strowman, it's more of just, you said it earlier. I think it was Ryan, where you said, he thinks that, the Cubs are just a few pieces away from being, a good team. And, I'm glad he thinks that. That kind of sells me a little bit more on why he wanted to come to the Cubs, because a lot of people have their conspiracy theories behind that. And a lot of people thought maybe the Cubs would try to flip him. We're never going to know as far as if they're going to flip him or not at the deadline, because he's been out and there's no value in moving him right now. But I think for him, the rest of the season, you're hoping to get what you paid for, right? You want to see good starts out of him to go into next year. And then Smyly, it's like, all right, man, we need like 2 or 3 real good ones out of you so we can flip you for like Mookie Betts or some shit, right? Like, I mean, that's the way I'm looking at it. Like, you're hoping that he, 1, stays healthy, and 2, you can move him for something. I really don't know what you're going to get for a guy like Drew Smyly, who's, a little bit older. They're like, you know who he is. He can eat you innings and this and that. And I mean, the Cubs have moved guys like that plenty of times. We've talked about it at ends, how they've been able to do that. Hopefully they can. I feel like he's someone, if they move him, they're going to get like a 18 or a 19-year-old guy who has high upside, perhaps, but since it's Drew Smyly, probably has a low ceiling at the point of the trade, but has potential to really maybe change eventually. But we ain't going to know who that is. I mean, maybe we could call one of the Cubs prospect guys and be like, hey, who do you think we're going to get for Smyly? I don't know, but that's basically where I'm at. So also I see Sean in the chat, and I just want him to know that I'm not going to talk to him for a while. So
Shane's going to sleep. He's had enough.
I think you've had
Shane and
enough too,
Sean.
Lukey. I feel like you're right there with Shane.
Yeah, I think I feel good about wrapping it up. You guys feel good? Anything else you want to talk about from this game? Anybody on
Should we
the
talk
chat
about
got
Javy?
a hard-hitting question or comment?
I was just gonna say our WB team asked if we see Happ in the All-Star game as a reserve. Another thing me and Cody talked about in the Twitter space earlier today, I think he has a better shot at making the reserve than he ever did making it as a starter because of the fan vote. I think
Yeah,
his name doesn't get the fan service that Juan Soto, Ronald Acuna, even Jock Peterson at this point. Like he wasn't going to get voted ahead of those guys, and I think he ended up like didn't even crack top 10. It was like 14th or 15th, something like that. But his numbers are up there. He has great numbers compared to a lot of the guys that will get voted in. So it's a peer vote. It's a player vote. So if a lot of these guys look at that and kind of pick the name out and just look at the stats, I think Happ has a shot. Will he make it? I mean, we'll find out on Sunday. But I think he has the numbers to warrant a spot in the All-Star team. I think he's definitely deserving. And if he gets voted, that's not like, oh, don't be up in arms that he got it. I think he would deserve an All-Star spot, but just kind of, we'll see. Still a toss-up to me. I don't know that he will or won't.
I think he lost a vote with Tyler Anderson probably in the game today, but other than that, I think he should at least have a shot at it for sure, right?
Yeah, why
I think
not?
that's fair.
Do we want to talk about Javy Baez?
Sure, you want to do it real quick?
Yeah,
I mean, drove in another run against Sean's White Sox since he's on here on the chat here, and it sounds like they were, from what I could tell from Twitter, and Sean let us know, it sounded like they were razzing him or booing him on the south side, and so Javy was at first base, waving it and egging it on in classic Javy Baez style. I would think that he's from that group that he's the most disliked by fans on the south side for exactly that. Just
undoubtedly
the swag, the bravado, all of it, right?
Undoubtedly. It's just not even close. Like, that's why I thought it was so bizarre that they decided to boo Anthony Rizzo of all people, except for the fact that he's a Yankee now, but whatever. That fan base has always hated Javy Baez, and I've always thought it was so funny just because
the hate was never
you have a similar type player playing shortstop for your team too, but hey, whatever. This guy wears blue pinstripes. I get it. All I wanted to say about the quotes is just like, he's always gonna be a Cubs legend. But I think a lot of us are pretty okay, maybe not okay with him gone, but like I think we can move on faster with him gone than some of the other guys. That's just my opinion though. So
yeah, when he does eventually come back to play at Wrigley, like he's gonna get that huge standing O. The emotional thank yous, maybe he'll get the stuff, all the presents that the Ricketts gave to Chris Bryant last year too. He's always going to be a Cubs legend just from that 2016 World Series. But like you said, Cody, I mean, he's struggled this year. I don't know that he struggles to this point if he's still on the Cubs. I think the change of scenery, the pressure to live up to that contract, definitely gets to him, just like it gets to a lot of players you see that sign big contracts like that. But I think just long term, I mean, and I think we kind of said it with the rest of them, is like it was kind of time to move on. I think Jed kind of has acknowledged that himself too, like he held on too long to all of them. It was just time to really just the trade deadline sell off was insane, but I just like overall was time to just like start trying to figure out how to get good again, because I don't think you saw that team as a World Series winner. Especially after that 11-game losing streak, like that was kind of the nail in the coffin. Yeah. This team wasn't going to win again.
Right. I think the thing that is kind of things that I've read on social media regarding him and just like the entire, like the old core in general, is just like so many people they're still set in their way of thinking that this team would be better with all three of them. Now, I think the team would be better if we had one, maybe two, depending on who those guys are. But
Schwarber would help.
Schwarber would definitely help. But the thing is it's almost like no one cares that Schwarber is gone. I don't see anyone on Cubs Twitter complaining about Kyle Schwarber leading the National League in homers. or being top 2 in homers at least. Like, I don't see, but everyone wants to talk about Javy, and it's like this guy has a 71 WRC plus.
Look at Sean trying to stir things up on the Cubs podcast. The Ricketts are cheap. Baez will always be valuable because of his glove and power.
This is our
owner
chat.
on the South Side's been spending big this last offseason.
This is what I deal with.
What's doing for you?
This is what I do. This is what I deal with on CHGO bets daily for 15 minutes a day.
There's someone in the chat that's always coming after Ricketts. The name is escaping me, but I'm like, that is Sean. Maybe it's Sean's burner.
Yeah, maybe it's Sean's burner.
He's just trying to stir things up.
He says Schwarber is a peacock and the Cubs needed to let him fly. Oh, God. Anyway, yeah, no, again, it is. I think it all is what it is. But again, like I do, you read the quotes that he said saying that, he always will love the fan base and all that stuff. It does hit home because, yeah, even though I don't think he's as good anymore and the way that his contract projects out, like he still is like he still did so many things for the Cubs as not only on the field, but off the field too. And just terms of, being one of those players that helps like grow the game. Like I always said, he's like one of the more overrated players that ever played for the Cubs in my life. That's not necessarily a bad thing. It's more of just like so many kids love that guy when he was with the Cubs. Like, because of how he played the game and stuff. So, yeah, it is what it is. I am cheering for him to play better. I hope, after maybe in the second half of the year, after a whole year, or a half season, and you get that All-Star break, hopefully, he figures it out. I did notice today when I was looking at his numbers, his strikeout rate is significantly down compared to recent years. So, I don't know if that has to do with why he's not playing well too, but that was always my thing.
Is Chili Davis the Tigers hitting coach?
Right? Yeah, I don't know.
What's going on over there? What do you guys got going this weekend? Anything big?
We're going to Taste of Chicago. Taste of Chicago on Sunday.
They still do that?
Yeah. It's back
this
actually.
Weekend. Yeah.
The first time in like 3 years.
Yeah, I'm going on Sunday.
I'm gonna get some. Got a big softball game on Monday. Huge, big time. Yeah. I've been dealing with a quad injury. I was able to play through it last, 2 weeks ago. So just keep getting treatment on it day to day.
Stucky, you should come and be our coach. We need a better coach.
I'm staying off my feet.
Are we doing a podcast on Monday?
We are,
yeah,
but like at like 2:30. But that means there's a game that night though.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Long past my bedtime. I could coach.
Sean called me a warrior. I am kind of a warrior, playing through the pain. I haven't been put on the IL this season yet. But
you guys don't want me as a coach. I'd be the angry old man cursing at everybody.
That's what we need.
We need someone to yell at us, and then we also need someone who's going to yell at the other team when they start putting us down, because we need that. We need that. We need a little Lupinella. We need a little.
Let's be honest. I'd be the Tony La Russa of coaches at softball. I'd be asleep in the dugout. You'd have to wake me up and say, "Hey, we got to take the picture." I'm like, "Where am I? What park is this? How did I get on this bench?"
Luke,
where's my beer?
We need someone to get that red ass, man. Especially when Cody steps on second base instead of tagging out the runner when there's no force out. Like we need someone to get the red ass.
Let that go. Not gonna let that go, huh? Oh, damn.
Who is that guy? Is that manager Steve? Who is that guy? All right, let's wrap it up. Cubs lose 4-3. They get Strowman and Smyly coming up this weekend. Maybe they can still win.
Split the series?
They could split the series.
Yeah.
Would you consider that's like a streak?
You're not losing a series.
The streak is over. But they haven't. You could say they haven't lost a series if they could somehow get a split.
Yeah.
There you go.
You got a good shot tomorrow with Marcus Strowman, but again, big hill to climb after not pitching for a month. Have to face one of the best lineups in the game. So
yeah, it's gonna be tough.
Yeah.
All right, we're wrapping it up. 1:22 a.m. Thanks for everybody on the chat that stuck around to talk about a crushing Cubs loss. to push them closer to 20 games under the 500 mark. Thanks for listening to the CHGO Cubs postgame show podcast presented by PointsBet. Don't forget to use the promo code CHGO when you sign up to get 2 risk-free bets up to $2,000. Have a great weekend and fly the W.